you can stay with your technology the whole time you're here. Sarah, if you're going to tweet, is I believe
at Sara Bird.
Yeah. So, feel free to tweet. She actually responds sometimes.
Sometimes. Not during the presentation.
Taylor Swift does it during the process.
Wow. Multitask.
To say I've seen Taylor Swift 3 times.
I like you a little more now, even somehow.
All right, this is the inaugural winter edition of the Dean Speaker Series. Actually, inaugural is the only one we do in the winter. And our speaker today is Sara Bird, and normally I would give you an extensive introduction into Sara. I won't do that because she's going to talk about herself. But I will tell you, you know that commercial that someone is the most interesting man in the world? Well, Sara is one of the most interesting women. So I think you will enjoy her presentation.
Hi guys. Hi. Can I borrow this? Okay, so I love talking to students, and I hope that this can genuinely be a conversation. And this is it's an unusual presentation for me. So a lot of the presenting I do, I present about business models, I present about marketing. It's focused very much on a business topic to people who I'm either like pitching to invest in my business or potential customers or something. This presentation is, I think it's more about entrepreneurship, and it's about my personal journey in becoming an entrepreneur, and it's also about the journey of Moz as a company and how we've evolved and what's unique about us. So I guess this is a long way of saying I'm uncomfortable a little bit because I'm going to overshare and use bad language. And I want you to know that's not representative of all my speeches, but because I want, like, for you guys, you are at the beginning of your journeys, and I want to be able to share with you my path along the way. So there's a lot of like highs and lows in this. At the end of this, well, actually, I'll leave it to you to figure out at the end of this how you feel about Moz and my journey and whether or not it's helpful or interesting to you. So please do interrupt me, and let's go a little bit. So I am going to talk about like what exactly is Moz, like what is that company and what do you do. I'm not going to talk a lot about it because the topic of this isn't like become an expert at everything Moz, although you will learn a lot. And then me and my background, my education backgrounds, and my career path a little bit. And then highs and lows of making Moz. So I vetted this presentation with a couple different people, and some folks really, really loved the sort of personal journey, like what was emotionally challenging and emotionally rewarding for you, and like all the strange screw-ups you did and how'd you get over them. And other people really loved, I love the like business model stuff and the product development stuff you did. And so instead of focusing on one thing or another, I've combined bits of both. So for those of you looking for different things, I hope I at least hit something that is what you're looking for. And then I'll also talk a little bit about the path ahead, as I know it. I can give you guys this slide deck, so this is just in the future. So before I get started as well, we have a very strong set of core values at Moz, and I'm gonna use this as a word all the time, and I use the word tag fee. This is what it stands for. We're transparent, authentic, generous, fun, exceptional, and empathetic. And you should know this word because it will come up again and again. And also, I want you to hold me to it. I am really going to just try to be like just real and transparent and authentic with what I'm about. So don't shy away from hard questions. You have my permission, and I invite you to do so. The other thing that's important, I think, to get started, especially whenever you're telling about a past experience, this was most of the Mozers. This was taken on stage at our customer conference last summer. So you can see there's a lot of people who've gone into making Moz, right? There are many experiences, many people have come and gone. I'm going to tell you my experience of making this company, but please don't confuse it with the truth. I don't confuse it with the truth. Other people have their different experience and versions of this, and I just want to acknowledge that. One other caveat, I fucking hate advice. I don't give advice, I don't like advice. This is not advice. And someone else should give you advice. This is like what's working or didn't work for me and may or may not work for you, whatever. This is not advice. Okay, you guys are mostly played by Captain Picard in this presentation. I also really like Star Trek: The Next Generation. So what exactly is a Moz? So Moz, the scale of the business, we're about $31 million a year, a little over $31 million a year in total revenue. We have about 150 people, most of those people based in Seattle. Actually, has anyone been to Moz or been to a conference or anything? No? Newbies, yes. Great. We have over 25,000 paying customers from all over the globe. Actually, about 40% of our customers are international. We have a history of fast growth. I'm not going to go into all this stuff. Yay, lots of customers, lots of cash. Lots of words and shit. Like, the whole point of these two slides are to be like, we're a real company who has done some things and won awards, right? This is my credibility slide. If I was pitching you as an investor, I'd be like, we have a long list of accomplishments. So Moz. So what do we even do? We're a software company, and we make software that helps marketers, professional marketers, and we help them understand and improve. So that's the sort of measure and then give insight to a bunch of what we call inbound marketing, organic marketing techniques. There's SEO, links, social, brand mentions, that kind of thing. So all of our software is related to this kind of marketing. You are actual marketers, right? Or pre-marketers, some proto-marketers, and so we don't do any of the paid advertising, but we do all this other stuff. It looks a little like this. See, like, oh, pretty graphs. You can see it's very analytics-driven, math. It's got your traffic and keywords, landing pages, social metrics, brand, a lot of stuff. This is actually our flagship product, Moz Analytics. Okay, so confession, I actually hate marketing. I have not had cable in like 20 years, and I don't listen to commercial radio. I hate road signs. Like, I fucking hate marketing. Actually, so really, I hate bad marketing, right? I find it awful. I feel like it repels me. And for me, bad marketing, it obscures the truth. It floods my inbox without my permission. It pollutes the scenery. It tries to sell me on products that I will never, ever need. Stops me from doing what I want to do, right? Interrupts me. Doesn't teach me anything, doesn't enlighten me in any way. It asks for something from me first. You know, like, give me your email so you can download this white paper. Like, just give me the white paper. It interrupts me during dinner time. Like, all these things for me are like the really frustrating forms of marketing. And I come from a place where the best marketing is actually completely in line with my core values, right? Which is really convenient for me. I mean, it's just like there's a lot of alignment and integrity around what I aspire to create on the business side and my core values. So I think that marketing should be all these things, should be tag fee. And what that actually looks like, we think, is that it's marketing that educates me, where you don't even realize it's marketing, you're just getting education. It actually gives you something before it asks. It entertains me. Oh, I love entertaining marketing. It's something that's so good, I actually want to share it with my friends. So you've got to check out this ad. You've got to check out this GE ad. It's hilarious, right? It's tailored to my interest. It is the scenery. It's just good to look at. And it's clear about what it can and cannot do for me. So it's not misleading, right? And it appears when I'm looking for it magically. That's the holy grail of marketing, right? Like right that moment when I need the thing, it just like, whoa, it pops in front of you. So Moz, we want to empower people, we want to empower businesses to succeed through our software by doing this kind of marketing. Their most tagged marketing, not the bad kind of marketing that really annoys me. So this is not, and this is a little selfish too, right? So like, yes, I get joy when I hear people use our products and succeed, and that's rewarding. And as a consumer who lives in the world and interacts with marketing messages all the time, I really want good marketing. So it's selfish as well as being, generous and other person focused. Okay, so that's enough of like the sort of like what Moz is. I'm actually not going to cover a lot of like what Moz is. We'll go to a lot about the story of Moz, but the next sort of section here is the sort of Sara's journey, and I'm basically a first-time everything. I mean, if you had told me 10 years ago that I'd be working at a tech company, I was still in a law firm, I'd been like, you're crazy. That's totally crazy. Why would I be working at a tech company? If you had told me 5 years ago I'd be the CEO of a tech company, I'd been like, you're crazy. We got a CEO. I'm fine. Everything's good. So there's a lot of things in my journey that I would never have planned, but have been wonderful, right? I feel very self-actualized right now. I feel very much where I should be, and that's sort of serendipity. And a lot of this presentation, I hope you guys will experience with me as being about serendipity. This is how I think most people see me. It's like business lady. And this is really how I used to feel most of the time. How people see me, how I used to feel most of the time. And still sometimes do, but mostly not. Some career history. I used to be a cleaning lady. God, I love cleaning houses and offices. For a brief time in college, I worked sorry, I'm touching my mic, aren't I? I worked the chains on our football team. I was a college librarian for a little while. I actually really enjoyed that because I love reading and research. My undergraduate degree was in literature and philosophy, and that was clearly a labor of love and not money. I love this. From now on, all emails must be written in iambic pentameter. So then, okay, I don't want to be an English teacher in high school, so what should I do next? I can't really get a job with this degree. So I'll go to law school because that's a graduate degree that you can get that's sort of general, and I care about justice, and I'm good at reading, and I'm good at writing, and I'm interested in rhetoric. So I went to UW Law School. While at law school, I met Rand and Geraldine, who's not pictured here, who is now his wife. And Rand had co-founded a company with his mom, Jillian. And so I knew that he was kind of internet famous, and I didn't really know what they did, but it didn't matter because he was my good friend Rand, and we had this wonderful friendship. And I graduated from law school, started practicing law, and I'll tell you imagine this, I'm finally like a practicing attorney, right? I've done like 3 years of law school, and I took the bar exam, and it's like my first day in the law firm with the certificate that says I'm allowed to practice law. I get in at like 8:45, and the paralegals are in that door. Sarah, you have to go to the courthouse right now. There's a 9 a.m. hearing, and they hand me a file this big, and you have to go and you have to ask for a blah, 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 blah. I mean, I was just terrified, but also like game because, right, I'm an attorney and like they need my help and I am not going to be chicken shit about this. So I'm like, all right, where's the courthouse? And they like gave me directions on how to get to the courthouse. And because it was one I hadn't been to before. It was the Kent Regional Justice Center. And they were like, the client's he's like 37. You'll see me, blah, blah, blah. And because one of the other attorneys couldn't make it. Whatever. So I get there, and it was definitely a moment of terror, right? But it's important not to exude terror, that you are scared. You want to have confidence. Your client feels confidence, that they feel calm, because this is important to them. And you want to feel comfortable in front of the judge, right? Like, you should trust me, judge, because I know what I'm doing, and I wouldn't steer you wrong. So, yeah. And so I had no idea what I was doing, but I just tried to be calm, act confident. And then I watched all the other attorneys. I just watched very carefully and so I don't know if you've ever been to court, and you probably don't want to raise your hand if you have, but it's not like TV where it's like one case in the courtroom and you go back and then another case. It's like everyone goes in like a room like this, and the judge has a list like this long called the docket, and they call out like attendance, and like it's just whoever's ready comes up, right? And so you're in a big room, which I was really, really lucky, thank God, that my case ended up being on the low end of the docket, and the other attorney was a little bit late, because that meant I could sit and watch all the attorneys go up. And I realized some of them were using some of the words that the paralegal had written down for me to ask for, right? Request a continuance, whatever. And so I just went up and I winged it, and it ended up being totally fine. But for me, it was an exercise in how you literally faking it until you make it, and how it's a metaphor for my entire professional life. When there's a problem, you just go, yeah, okay, here we go, and then you watch everybody else and try to figure out what they're doing, and the ones that seem to be working, and copy them, and it ended up being fine. And another thing that I think is why I'm sharing this story as well is because not only is it a metaphor for most of my professional career, as a first-time everything, right? But it also, at the moment, it felt so terrifying and serious. And it wasn't until like a year and a half later on reflection that I realized, like, you know what? That was actually a really low-stakes issue anyway. Like, I really couldn't have biffed it. Like, so what felt to me at the time is this person's case is in my hands, I've got to get this right, high stakes. Actually wasn't. And that's another thing that I've learned in my professional career. A lot of things that in the moment feel like, oh my God, I cannot screw this up. This is like really, really big, are really not, but they feel like it because of your experience level. So that's a mini story. Okay, so lawyering, blah, blah, blah. I lawyered for like 3 years. A lot of things I liked about lawyering, and if you guys have other questions about lawyering, please ask me afterwards. So I usually make decisions like this. This is a weighted pros and cons list. You guys do weighted pros and cons, right? I'm just addicted to this stuff. I will take a lifeline on anything. I'll call my friends. I will Google every decision. Like, you do not want to go to the store with me to pick shampoo because there's like 70 different kinds, and I will read so that's just like normal me that my whole professional career I've had to really work against, because you can't make every decision this complicated, but it's my default. And this, you guys don't know me, which is why I had to lead with this is how I normally am, because I'm embarrassed by this story. I decided to leave a law firm based on a dream I had, which sounds so flaky and hippie and weird. But I literally, I was working really hard. It was a small firm, and there was a lot of great stuff about it. And I didn't even know I wasn't happy. Like, if anyone had asked me, I wouldn't have said, like, oh, I gotta leave my job. I'm thinking about leaving my job. But I had a dream that I quit my job. And in the dream, I was filled with this physical sense of joy. You have some dreams that become so real to your body that you like wake up mad or you wake up sad. Well, this was only 1 of 2 times in my life I woke up with joy, like laughing. And it was just this like rush of like, oh my God, I need to quit my job. Wow. And like within 24 hours, I did. I went in and gave my notice. I gave 3 months because I had trials and stuff I wanted to finish out. And even though I made the decision on the dream, I still wasn't at the level of my career where I would like torch and burn stuff, right? So I, luckily at the same time, I was thinking of transitioning Rand, who co-founded this one. So that's Jillian, his mom, that's Rand. They were just starting to take their Series A investment, first $1 million into their internet business. And he said, hey, we're about to do this deal. You should come and work with me. And it was 2007, so this was a time the economy was a lot different, right? And I didn't have kids, I didn't have a husband, I didn't have a mortgage, and so it just felt like this wonderful chance of like, you know what, even if this is the most terrible decision I ever make, it doesn't really matter. I'll stick it out for a year, and then a year later I'll just go and work at a firm and it'll be fine. But we should give this a go, which is crazy, right? Because I was the 8th employee in a new technology startup, and I was Rand's friend. I would never advise, like, oh, you got a startup, huh? A new company? You should hire an attorney right away. I would never give someone that advice. And I certainly, for a long time, wouldn't have given the advice of hire your friends. I've changed my mind on that a little bit, but it was kind of crazy. So I joined Moz, and I had to work with this team, and I was so excited. It was so different from lawyering. And there was this, like, massive honeymoon period. Like, look, we're champagne toasting, and, like, you know, things are going awesome. And then like shit gets real, right? It was like, oh, holy crap, we have no clue what we are doing. I mean, I'm a literature and philosophy major who practiced law for a while. I have never run a technology company or built software. I had a subscription to Wired magazine, which I thought made me very technical. And so did everyone else in the office. That's how low the bar was. But it became like the challenges got intense. We had really no clue what we were doing. So this is the part of the presentation where I give you a lot of really embarrassing stories about myself that I am sharing with you so that someday when you're in your career and feel awful, you'll be like, well, Sarah isn't homeless, so it's going to be fine. So this is Rand and I Rochambeauing in the office because when we couldn't make a tough decision and you have to, like, we were, both of us, so some decisions you disagree on, but the other person's really passionate and you're just sort of like, well, I wouldn't do that, but if you want to, okay. So we didn't use Rochambeau for those decisions. But if we both had like different viewpoints, we both felt pretty passionately and we felt like we had discussed it out, it could go either way, we would just Rochambeau to make the decision. Okay, here we go, this is so embarrassing. So we're a new company. I'm like, gosh, well, we have a VC. We should probably have a board meeting because we probably should do some kind of governance. And I think we have bylaws. And so let's schedule a board meeting. So here was the board. We had our venture capital, Michelle, and she's still in town. She's wonderful, by the way. She was Ignition. She was our board member. And then Rand and his mom. I was there as general counsel. My first title was general counsel. And then we had this angel investor, Kelly, who couldn't vote, but he was on the board. We held it in Shalimar on the Ave. Do you guys know Shalimar? The best sandwich things. They're so good. And one of these like little tables, right? And I can't actually show you any materials from the first board meeting because we didn't bring any. Because we didn't know what we were doing or what to talk about. We just knew we should have one. I knew we should have like stock options approved. So I had something on that, but that's it. And these are my Sara Bird's personal notes for SEO Moz board meeting 122, 2008. Work product. These are my little notes. Next time, make a PowerPoint with agenda and metrics in chart form. Update and send out the night before. Like, this is the level of education we needed, right? So, okay, that was pretty embarrassing, but whatever. So we're going to do our second board meeting a few months later. We're still in 2008. So we have materials this time. I'm about to show you the materials. This is really embarrassing for me, but I trust you guys. This was one of the charts we presented, which are like, okay, well, at least I have charts and like a history, but if you'll notice, the yellow is a burn rate. It's a negative number. And magenta was our expenses, which is positive, whatever. And then income, a little bit of positive too. So, but this is a stacked chart. Like it's a stacked chart. It doesn't make any sense at all. You would never stack those things. Like because one is below the, you know, like it doesn't even make sense. It is literally completely obscuring and not helpful of anything. And then this is another one from that same deck. Like it's employee count, which is like, how interesting is that? And why would you show it with like X's here about what month it was? Like this is not helpful. When someone says make a chart of your head count, don't do this. Okay, this is not actually helpful or interesting. It's one of the least interesting ways you can show this number. I think we did also talk about real things, like, you know, we brought problems to the board, which is a good thing to do. It wasn't all bad, but like, I love this like epic fail on our keyword brainstorming tool. It's fun to see your old notes, right? So it was also some good issue working. So that was the second board meeting, right? Really embarrassing. And so then Kelly Smith, God bless his soul, he, a very helpful email afterwards. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but to give you a flavor, it's like, hey, here's a sample board deck you could consider that I populated with fake data. And an agenda slide at the beginning is always a good idea. And you can use like, you know, charts and maybe more than 1 or 2 months. You could put like a whole 12 months worth of data in there. You know, just really basic stuff, right? And he sent us this beautiful sample deck, which I still occasionally send to new entrepreneurs because I thought it was such a wonderful template of the kind of data and how you can present it to be really helpful to your board. Yeah, whatever. So it was pretty embarrassing. Okay, you're pretty convinced now, right? And yet we made a $30 million company, so clearly you can too. And I also want to like let you know, like, don't worry, we figured out a lot of stuff now. Like the weekly status emails that any given team sends out are way more sophisticated than anything we presented in the board for the first like 2 years of its existence, right? So we've come a long way. And so in addition to some embarrassing thing, lots of good stuff happened too. We had a lot of fun. I mean, we were really committed to tag feet and to enjoying each other and getting to know each other. We had a pie eating contest and just a lot of goofing off, lots of lifelong friendships. And most of these people have moved on in one way or another, but I still see them all the time and we're still close. Because one of the things I really treasure about Moz is it's not just a place to work, it's a relationship you have that isn't predicated on if you're still even in the office and an employee. It's about the impact you've had, and we continue to support each other. I also got married and had a kiddo, so that was good stuff. Let's see. Okay, so now we're shifting gears a little bit. This is getting a little more high and low on product story. I'm checking my time. I have about an hour, right? So I have like another 20 minutes? Okay. Okay, so software. So, right, so this is like my first year. This is my first year at Moz still. No clue how to build software. But we knew that we were trying to solve this marketing problem, and it was like the big data vacuum. We needed more data to be able to solve this problem. Like, what if we could track all of your SEO metrics over time and then graph them for you, right? And we had launched this product called SEO Analytics. It was going to be this great thing that was going to be so much better and sticky for our customers and engaged and give them better insight. And we were, you know, scraping the web all over the place to get your brand mentions and your page rank at the time, and all this stuff. And it ended up actually being terrible. Terrible. We launched it, and it was in the wild. And by about 3 months in the wild, we realized we had a serious problem because we really didn't understand the data we were pulling in. It was all third-party data that we had not validated before we built and collected it, but we did not validate the data. And so over time, we started to see the data points just swinging because the data was all crap anyway, right? And so it was actually more confusing and awful for customers. So one of the things we learned is you really got to validate the data ahead of time. You don't build the product until you actually feel confident that the underlying data is good. So that was one of our failed product experiments in the early days. We decided to kill it 9 months after it launched. So we worked on it for 4 months, launched it. Within 3 months, knew we had a serious problem that we couldn't rectify. And 9 months later, we're like, kill it now. It's terrible. It's doing more harm than good. So that's one thing that happened in 2008 from a product perspective that was not so good. But there was also some good stuff. So let's talk about another product idea we had. So this is the Google SERP, right? And a lot of marketers, they look at the Google search engine results page, SERP, and you might look at this and say, hey, I'm the Mayo Clinic. I want to be ranking #1 because I want to be the authoritative source and have people come to the Mayo Clinic. I'm the Mayo Clinic marketer. How is whattoexpect.com possibly ranking above the Mayo Clinic, right? Which should have more authority and credibility. So a marketer at Mayo Clinic may be like, what is going on? How are they ranking? And that marketer may have gone to the website, this is what to expect, and said, oh, well, I see they're using lots of keywords. You can tell I'm a mom and I have a 3-year-old. So we you can say, oh, they're using some keywords, and they can check out even the source code on the page and see like how bot friendly is it, what sort of technologies they're using. But what they couldn't tell in 2008 was who was linking to whattoexpect.com. So like this is whattoexpect.com. There's a whole bunch of websites linking to that page, but who's linking to those pages that are linking? Like, how do you know that, right? How do you know that? And we thought, wow, what if we could solve that problem? That would be amazing. It's really hard to do, but we did it. It took us about a year's worth of development and some great engineers. It took Amazon Web Services being a meaningful thing at that point, so we could crawl the web cheaply. And basically, we were able to crawl the web and generate an index of the web that is roughly Google's side for like 1/1000th the cost of what Google spent to do it. Now, we don't keep all the same information as Google, which is one of the reasons we were able to do it more cheaply. But this was a really big deal because for the first time, marketers could understand like, oh, that is how that web page is ranking there because they have insight into the visibility of the web as a whole for any website. This is another one I was like, oh my God, so yes, we finally launched. We were so excited to launch. We were so proud of this product, guys. It was a real technology advancement. It was our data. It wasn't third-party data. We had validated. We were so proud and so happy. Big launch day, October 6th, at a conference. We were keynoting. October 6th, 2008 was the day like the Dow finished below 10,000 for the first time in like forever, whatever. And like markets were crashing. Companies started failing. Banks started failing. And we were like, oh, are you kidding me, right? Like our VC was like, hey, put your money in, smaller banks where it's FDIC insured and blah, blah, blah. I mean, it was just a panic time, right? It was a panic time for everybody. So we had that sort of high and low simultaneously on the same day. Luckily, it turned out to be fine. Obviously, internet marketing kept growing, and we were able to continue to be very successful in the recession, but we didn't know it in that moment. And today, this technology is still really important. Over 837 billion links on the web. It also became a big part of our strategy. This is more the strategy discussion for those of you who are more strategy nerds here. That the web was changing, and it was less about if you love something, hold on to it and keep it secret and keep it proprietary. It was if you have data that is useful, set it free in the universe. It's counterintuitive to like, if this is proprietary and special, you should not share it so no one else can benefit from it and it's yours and you can charge more for it. It's counterintuitive, but it fits really in line with our values and our sense of like, hey, for this data to really do its job in the universe, other people than us have to be able to access it and play with it. So we created a free API and a paid version of the API to offer it, which I appreciate our board at that time taking a big risk on us and letting us give our secret sauce away for free in some cases and paid in others. We actually power our competitors as well. So most of our chief competitors use some of our data, and our metrics have gained global ubiquity. I mean, they are the standard of how you measure a web page, domain authority, page authority. We do make some little bit of money off it, obviously, because I charge my competitors for it. And also, we can build faster because we have a better technical infrastructure. So Linkscape, this project, this experience we had about creating our own proprietary data, setting it free, and having that be the foundation for what we do, really started what was our product framework. So excuse the cheesy pyramid. So first, you want to make profit, right? You have the stuff, and then you collect the underpants. I'm just kidding. Any South Park fans? South Park? Yeah? All right. Look it up. Yeah. No, for real. This is the actual product success framework. So the first thing is you have to have the raw data. You have to have data that other people can't get, right? That is hard to get so that you're providing value to the ecosystem. And then you have to take that data and you have to do a whole bunch of good machine learning, and you have to scrub it, and you have to derive insights and do correlations so that you can actually tell people what to do with it. Because if you don't do that step, data without any insights is actually just really confusing. It creates this sort of, what I don't like about it is you really have to be a guru to understand and to get anything actionable out of it. It actually generates a lot of anxiety for people. I've seen data anxiety when we show them a big CSV and they're like, oh crap, just tell me the 3 things I need to know. Don't show me, a million rows of data. And then the top one is packaging. You have this technology now and these insights. You need to be able to serve it in a whole bunch of different ways and price it for different people. So this is a little bit of the Moz kind of product strategy when we talk about where you're at in your product lifecycle and what you're doing. Are we spending time on the data layer with this team? Or are we spending time on the packaging layer? Anyway, it's fun. Okay, so we're going to do a little bit of Moz history. How are you guys doing? Am I talking too fast? Yes, I'm sorry. So we were always a community first. This is we just celebrated 10 years in October of having a web community. It began in the early 2004 with Rand blogging about everything he was learning about search engine optimization. At that time, it was called SEOmoz.org, and it was not a business. The business was like marketing consulting. This was just literally like, hey, this is what I'm learning, and you guys should comment and post too. In case you ever wondered, the SEO, that's the obvious part, search engine optimization. Moz relates back to this meme of transparency, open source, sharing, and you can still see that in the root of organizations like Mozilla, right? It has a Firefox browser, which is open source, a lot of stuff, or DMoz, which is an open source directory from more ancient times that we have today. So that's just in case you were wondering. So the community, in 2007, we had 15,000 visits a month. We have over 1 million organic visits a month today. Its content is co-created by people all across the world and shared and curated and thumbed up, and 134 comments on this one, for example. And I'm proud to say it's one of the few places on the web where I think you can read the comments and get educated and learn something, and it's actually really valuable, and I'm incredibly proud of that. We practice what we preach about content and putting it out there first. If you care about digital marketing, I strongly suggest you check out our free resources on the web. We have so much educational material. It's all for free, and hopefully we don't annoy you too much to get at it. Lots of videos. So the community is essentially over 800,000 marketers. Big. That's the registered piece, right? That's not just all the visits and consumptions. Those are people who signed up to be able to participate and do Q&A and write content and comment. So the sort of, it started as just because it's something we wanted to do and who we were as people, and that's what we valued, right, is making marketing better for everyone. And it has become this incredibly, sort of serendipitously, it has become this incredibly strategic and important business strategy. So it was just something we did because we liked it, and it's turned into an incredible advantage. We're going to talk about that. So you kind of come for the content, and hopefully you'll stay for the software. We actually don't have any salespeople. So we've never had a salesperson. And when I give that piece of information to VCs and private equity folks, their faces explode, right? They're just like, what? That's crazy. How do you make money? We do have community managers. And their job isn't to sell, though. They run contests and things. This is a woman who just won one of the contests that we created. She was overjoyed. We do events. We do anything we can to attract great people who care about the same things that we care. And that is their job, to be inclusive and engaging and create good content. Their job is not to sell. So you're like, so how do you make the money? Because I hate asking for money. It's a real problem. But it's true. I hate it. Even as a kid, I couldn't even sell those stupid chocolate candy bars to go to 6th grade camp. I made my dad buy them all because I was like, I'm not going to door to sell these terrible candy bars. I also hate answering the phone. Don't call me. I won't answer the phone. I hate when people call me. So we don't call people. We barely ask you for money. People come to us. They come to Moz to buy our services because they're searching for something that we probably have some content on or some expertise. Like in this example, maybe you've said, I want to increase my domain authority. All my marketing friends are talking about domain authority. I don't even really know what that is. I just know it. So maybe you do a Google search, and you'll find our website here. And you're like, oh, video, I love video. I'm going to click on that. Or maybe one of your good friends, Giovanni, says, hey, you know what? Take a look at this domain authority video. And you're like, God, domain authority, I've been hearing about that. Now's the day I'm going to figure this out. So you click through. And then hopefully you get to Moz's site and you get one of our wonderful educational videos. Maybe you'll get our Q&A site. And eventually, usually not the first time, our research says that our best customers visit us 8 times before they make a purchase. 8 times. And eventually, though, when you are ready, you're going to be like, I've got it. I've got to get this SEO strategy in hand. I'm going to sign up for the free trial. And our free trial is 85% of those people who take it as organic, basically free. I don't pay for those leads, right? I've done the marketing to help create that, to drive them to my site, but I didn't pay anything for that free trial. And it's a subscription business. $99 a month is the cheapest price. Put your credit card in. Super simple to sign up. So easy. So easy. I know. Seriously, that's like VCs just kill themselves. Of course, then we talk about churn and it gets different. But anyway, and this is something that for you guys in this room, you're like, yeah, okay, that's no big deal. Why are we even talking about this? You're boring me. But believe me, when I talk about this with VCs and private equity, their minds are blown. Like, people just give you their credit card on the internet to sign up for B2B software? That's insane. You can't build a company that way, but you can. And I think that actually that opportunity is growing. And so Moz, we used to be, I think, one of the few people that had this completely self-service model of B2B software. And now there's a whole wonderful crop of them growing up, and there's starting to be a real community, and there's this whole category creation and business model that's maturing. So it's been a lot of fun. And I think it's going to keep going because, hey, we the digital natives are running the companies now, and we are buying the software, and that's how we prefer to shop, right? Do my research, talk to my friends. Don't give me a big, long sales pitch. I don't want to hear it. I will figure this out, right? So I'm going to do, this is like, okay, so for those of you who hate numbers, tune out and join us again in 90 seconds, because this is a little bit of like business model geekery. This is Moz down here. This is Constant Contact, which is another B2B software. It's a public company. I have their information because it's public. And they do email. And then there's HubSpot, which is another public company now. I have their information because they're public. And the customer lifetime value, ours is small compared to these others, right? Which is bad. You want more value from your customer, not less. So at this point, it looks like, wow, HubSpot is nailing it, right? Next slide. Cost of customer acquisition. How much did you pay to even get that customer, right? Moz is very small. Constant Contact, pretty small. HubSpot, quite high, $6,700. And this is very good. HubSpot is like, oh crap, they have to spend $6,700 just to get the customer in the door, right? So when you run that as a ratio, we actually have the highest customer lifetime value to cost of customer acquisition. So we get profitable right away. Basically within 1.6 months, now all the money that customer is paying me, I am putting back into research and development, shipping new features, improving the service, right? Whereas HubSpot takes over a year, 14.4 months before they've even made the money they spent to get the customer. And Constant Contact is, gosh, almost 2 years. It's crazy, right? It's so interesting to break it down because it's like, this looks so bad. And so it gets more interesting when you see all the metrics and how they play together, right? And there's a lot. I have a whole presentation on how you make this kind of model work that I won't go into here, but that's a lot of fun for another time. Kind of to summarize, we've got like a couple different innovations here. We've got technology innovation in the form of Linkscape and how we think about data and the product and insights. But we've also got business model innovation. And to tie a little back to the original theme, most of the stuff was serendipitous, right? We didn't even know we were inventing something new. We were just doing what we wanted to do, what felt right, what was consistent with our values. We weren't thinking like, this API thing is really going to take off forever. We better ride the big data API wave. We were just like, this data I want people to use it and see what they can do with it. And we were following our guts on a lot of it. Okay, I've got 10 more minutes and 2 times I thought about quitting stories, so I'm going to power through them. The first time I thought about quitting, and Rand thought about firing me. So I started at Moz as the general counsel, and then within 6 months as the chief operating officer, because it turns out there was a lot of work to do. And then eventually became the president, and I'm now the CEO. And at some point in the early days, this was 2008, that first year in particular, it was really hard. It was really hard. So Rand founded the company with his mom, and this is their story. So Rand blogs about this. You should read his blog. He's interviewed on it. You should read his interview. I'm not going to try to tell their story. I'm going to try to tell my experience as the person next to their story. They had all kinds of transitions going on, right? Because Jillian was not going to be effective in this phase of the business. Like, this was not her. She was a traditional marketing consultant. That's what she wanted to do and she's good at. We were running a technology company that was venture-backed, right? And you have mother-son dynamics. So if any of you have been involved in family business, use your imagination about how complicated that is between them and stressful. And then my job was to be the go-between to help broker that, right? And I did not sign up for that shit. So it was a really stressful time for me. I thought, I'm going to lose my friendship. Will this company survive this transition as we're making these huge cultural changes from a family-run consulting service-based business to a technology company that I've made commitments to venture capitalists and our customers on? Very hard. So that relationship between Rand and I got strained. It got to the point where even little things stressed me out. So an example of a small thing that today would be like no big deal and we'd tease each other and forget about 90 seconds later. At the time, I remember calling, well, he called me because he was in Iraq at the time, and just like bitching, like, oh my God, can you believe that Rand doesn't want to move to the new office because it's a 25-minute bus ride from the U District to Capitol Hill, and I've been commuting for 2 hours a day for a year, and he like had the nerve to complain to me about it. And I just remember thinking like, oh, that's so selfish, right? And like today, Sarah, that would never happen, but it was a function of like where we both were in our maturity and where the relationship was already so stressed and raw that small things that should have just been me like, hey, Rand, get over it. It's a 20-minute commute. It's okay. Or me just being like, whatever, it's his deal. It doesn't have to bother me. It's my choice to live far away, right? Like that's how today that would play out, but not at the time. I remember bitching about it. And the good news is really, this was the early days, and Tag Fee really did save the day. So Michelle Goldberg, our VC, in one of our early board meetings, and they were stressful board meetings because we were trying to figure out all kinds of stuff. Like, how do we make money? How do we price product? Moz, and the first analytics product had just failed. Would Linkscape even work? She was like, I think we should take some time out and do some core values work. And her and I both like, we got real problems to handle here. Are we on the same page? Because we get some emergencies going on, like real company shit. But I love Michelle because she's a wonderful human being, and she picks her battles, and she is quietly persistent. And she was like, well, IBM did it. They're pretty successful. NASA has had a pretty good run with it. And like she went through all these companies that have done core values work. And so we were like, okay, we'll take time out and we'll do it. And I won't go into the whole story of Tag Fee because I actually just did the video on it about a little deeper dive into the creation of Tag Fee. But suffice it to say, we did that work, and it totally transformed our relationship and the business. Because we thought we didn't need to do it because we knew we had values. And never mistake having values for articulating those values and building a community around them. And that's the big takeaway for me. And like I said, in my other video, you can learn all about that. What that allowed Rand for I do is we got to spend some time out of all the stuff we disagreed in, and we spent time thinking about on the big picture, what do we agree on and who do we want to be? And it takes all that bad intent and bad motive off the table and gets you back towards, okay, I'm trying to see this from your side because I know you're a good person, I'm a good person, so let's stop sniping at each other and get back on track, right? Very powerful lesson. I don't really have time to go into the lawsuit episode. This is a story about when me, the lawyer of the company, got us sued, which is a totally mortifying and embarrassing experience because I'm the one who's supposed to be bringing legal rigor to the office, and of all the illegal shit we were doing, I got sued about something that was not even illegal, and it took us 2 years to figure out to win. We did win it. It took us 2 years to battle to win it, because even if you're sued and you're innocent, you still have to pay and devote the time to defend yourself. And Rand was a big champion on this. I was hey, this suit is frivolous, but it's not worth our time. Let's just settle because we all got more important stuff to do. And Rand's like, no, it's wrong. We're going to defend this. We did nothing wrong. We cannot bow down to them. I don't care how much money it costs. We are fighting this, right? And that was a really powerful lesson to me, who was used to being sort of expedient and cost-benefit analysis. And Rand helped really push me forward on the values. I did the story anyway. Okay, so that's the second time I thought about quitting. I can't go on. I'll go on. So this was, we were about 50 people big, right? And I was having all these thoughts like, why on earth, why am I having this job? I was the COO, and we were scaling, and we had customers all over the world, and I was the CFO essentially too, and I was the HR person, and I was basically guiding the strategy at the board level, and just all this stuff. And I just kept thinking, God, they should fire me and hire someone who knows what they're doing. This company really deserves a great CFO who's experienced. This company really deserves a great VP of HR. This company really deserves someone who has done this before, and this could have been anything. It could have been a pricing thing, right? It could have been even our customer service and revolutionizing it. And so that's the right thing to do. I have zero experience in this, right? They should do that. So finally, I basically got the help I needed, which for me came in the form of a great peer group of people, of other executives who, when I joined this peer group, I thought, looking around the table, I was like, oh, these are all the very experienced people that Moz should be hiring to do my job because they've all been doing this and they're so smart. And that's all true. They are very smart and they're very experienced. But what I learned by having peers was that it's still not easy for them either. and they still had the exact same problems I was doing, and they were asking the same kinds of questions and having the same emotional trouble. They just weren't like holding themselves to some crazy standard that they made up in their heads about it, right? So it was this incredibly empowering thing for me that I needed to like let go of whether I had experience or not, and just trust myself that, hey, I'm making it better, I'm having an impact. And like now, like that's just my problem. Like my job is to solve problems every day that I'm not qualified to do, right? And by the way, I want to also make it clear that the insight wasn't, we don't need the CFO or the VP of HR, because we do, we have them, they're great. The insight was, I can't let that role definition impact my sense of value and what I can contribute. What's my highest value to Moz? What can I do today, right? A little Picard wisdom. It's possible to commit no mistakes and still lose. This is not a weakness, this is life. So it's Picard wisdom because I genuinely believe this, and I kid you not, this has been like really grappling with this over a long period of time and many years is what has helped free me up from all the anxiety I used to have about, am I qualified for this? Should I be doing this? Why am I here? Are we gonna succeed? Because I realized that stuff actually doesn't matter. Like the market could shift and Moz could fail and I could have done everything perfectly. But the only thing that I can control is the how I am showing up as a leader, the values of our company, did we do our best, the energy I put into it, my commitment. So I have control over those things, and I don't have control over what the competitors do, the market, the technology. And once I realized that, it was actually incredibly freeing because I realized like I don't have to, like that stuff is actually not what's important to me anyway. When I reflect back, I'm gonna be more concerned about, did I do it according to my values? And did I do it to the very best of my ability? Did I put everything into it? And if those things are true, even if Moz fails, like, it won't be like, hooray, but I'll be like, okay, that's okay. You know, I did it. And so that's, once you can really get to that place, oh my God, it really allows you to like bear down and like get into your business and your future, right? So I wish that for all of you. It's the only way to live without petrifying anxiety as if it's your first day in court. And they just put a folder in your hand. Okay, so I've got like 4 more minutes. Okay, we're pretty good. So we talked about some early product stuff. I'm going to get a little bit closer to our time period. So we had this, in 2012, we were like, oh my God, we got this brilliant idea. We could totally make an SEO analytics product. And we honestly, it's like we had forgotten that we had tried that in 2008. I kid you not. It was like a year after we'd already started working on it. They were like, wait a minute, didn't we do that in 2008? It's embarrassing to admit. But anyway, so we had this great idea. We're going to bring in all your SEO data. And luckily now that we have proprietary data, because we did learn the data lesson. That lesson we learned, right? And we were building it. And we took a $15 million round of funding. We took 2 years to build it. We did tons of hours and blood and sweat and tears all across the company. And we totally biffed this launch. It was embarrassing. It took the launch part took 9 months. That's not even the building. That's like get it out to customers, transition them off the old product, put them on the new product, fix all the broken shit that you can't test until you have scale. All the stuff that you thought would land well with customers and it turns out they totally miss, right? I mean, we just totally biffed this launch in every way that you possibly could have. It's pretty bad. But, we learned a lot of we learned other valuable things, right? So the first time I built SEO analytics in 2008, I learned some very valuable lesson that when we transitioned to being something incredibly strategic and important to us, and guess what? This time when we built SEO analytics, I learned some incredibly valuable lessons about how to build software at scale, which is totally different than when we have a team of 20 people, that I will never make that mistake again. We are way more agile now. We have way better retrospectives and learning, way better communication all through the organization to send flags up around, we've got problems here. I mean, it was a different kind of challenge that led to this failure, and I've learned that lesson too. Also, lots of good stuff is happening too. I mean, that's the big bit, but there's lots of good stuff happening. We're way more operationally efficient. The brand is super strong. Oh my God, it's still like one of the world leading marketing brands. I already mentioned operational efficiency. We got this new product, Moz logo, that is kicking ass. I thought it would be good. It is kicking ass. It's incredible. It's driving so much of our growth right now. And we got a lot more to do. We got a lot more projects on the road. So this is how I sort of think about it, right? Like Moz is on this like crazy journey, and I haven't been able to predict any of it. Right? None of this was on the plan. It is all just happening, and we're going, and we're doing our best in the moment. And it kind of reminds me of Star Trek. Right? Because they don't have, their mission was not go to that planet and then come back. Right? Their mission was to explore, to go seek out new forms of life, right? To boldly go where no one's gone before. And I kind of feel that way about Moz. Like, we know what the mission is, but it isn't a product roadmap. And it is not a, this is what's going to happen in the market. And it's not a, these are all the challenges of scale, right? I have the mission, just like Star Trek, and I have no clue about all the stuff that's going to happen in the middle and all the crazy hijinks that happen week to week that we've got to troubleshoot and nearly die from, right? And this is exciting to me. Marketing's not getting any easier, right? This is an incredibly dynamic field. The whole web is continuing to fragment. There's more new kinds of media and community to talk and learn and measure all the time. The responsibilities of an SEO in 2014 are incredibly diverse, more diverse than they've ever been. And then the potential downfall of getting it wrong, this is someone's web traffic, right? Lord save you from ever having this in your web traffic log, this kind of cliff. That's the end of your business right there, right? So the stakes are incredibly high. And so to be a really successful web marketer, this T-shape is totally true, more true today than it's been in a long time, right? You've got to have all the breadth. SEO is less frequently now a job title, and it is a core competency of a general digital marketer, right? It's maturing and you have to know it. But it's also incredibly technical. It's not easy. It's not superficial, like what feels good, sort of branding-wise, you know? It is, you have to be a data junkie to get this right. You have to know how the web works, like the infrastructure of the web. It's incredible. So I don't know what we're going to do next. But it doesn't actually matter. This is kind of my motto. I learn by going where I have to go. I learn by going where I have to go. And that's, I think, if I sort of sum up the, like, my career path, the journey of Moz, like that kind of does it, right? A lot of work left to do. I want to be international. Someday I want to be a public company. Who knows what? I have no idea how to do that. Doesn't matter. First time for everything. And that's it. I did it. I did it. Okay, do you have any questions? Are you awake and do you have any questions?
So Sarah, I have a question.
Yeah.
A year ago, just about exactly, you shook up the Valley in a way that was really interesting by saying, I'm moving off of AWS.
Yeah.
And you were in the news cycle for about 2 weeks in an intense way. Did you realize that you had that kind of market power before you even said that? Or what were you expecting in terms of feedback?
So I do this, I haven't done it for this year yet because I've been kind of busy, but I promise it's coming. Every year I do a really detailed post about Moz and the business metrics and the health and like things we've learned. We're incredibly transparent, right? And as part of like, I had written, it was like a huge post, right? I don't know how many words it was huge. And of this huge blog post with all these metrics and an infographic, I wrote 3 sentences about moving off Amazon because we didn't have the stability we need, and it costed. We were spending, $700,000, $800,000 a month on Amazon Web Services, and moving to our own data centers for better scalability and stability. And yeah, it was a shitstorm. So I'm totally used to and comfortable in the marketing world being. I mean, it's Moz, and people listen. We have an outsized influence. I was shocked. I didn't understand that there was whole conversations in industries happening around trying to get people out of Amazon and back into like hardware that other people want to sell them in data centers, and that there was this whole like crazy power play market positioning thing happening upon these very aggressive sales teams and marketing teams, and like there was this whole conversation I didn't know about. And so my 3 sentences got totally hijacked, and everyone who has a dog in the fight of to build data centers or go on Amazon and cloud versus not cloud and hybridized cloud and is it secure and blah, 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 like picked my quote as like, Moz, the champion of the world and the smartest business you'll ever know, has decided to move into their own data centers, and so you should too, right? I mean, I had no clue. It was a big shitstorm, and Amazon was not thrilled about it, and I was like, I didn't realize that would happen, guys, I'm so sorry. Yeah, but it was what it was. Oh, I still get, I would say every other week, I will get something in my email about our decision to move off Amazon and build our own private cloud.
Did it make you feel powerful in a weird way?
No. No.
Or just accidental?
Yeah, I mean, it's accidental. It more was like, I'm relatively new to the CEO role, and so one of the questions I'll get pretty frequently from people is like, hey, what's it like being the CEO? And what's been hard about it and what's not been hard. And a lot of the stuff that you'd think would be hard hasn't been hard at all because I've been doing a lot of it already, right? Strategy, building a great team, letting people go, hard decisions, financing, pitching, the stuff that gives other entrepreneurs like heartache. It's like I'm pretty like whatever. That's part of the job. But I am really uncomfortable with media and recording and interviews and that was sort of that was one of those moments where I had been the CEO for like 3 weeks. And suddenly I'm getting all these calls from all over the world that everyone wants to do an interview for their purposes, not mine, right? I don't care what other companies do. I can't speak to whether or not it's strategic for other companies to make the same decision we made. I have my advice issues, right? So it was definitely a very uncomfortable moment for me. Not like a power thing. I wasn't intimidated by the power, just I don't want to speak on a topic I don't feel briefed to speak about, and I can't give you advice on your business, and I don't want to be your PR game. Make your own PR. It's not for me to do. So, yeah, I don't know. What's that?
You mentioned that 85% of customers to Moz find Moz on their own. Whether it's a web search, learning your educational material, without you having to call them yourself.
Yeah.
Right? And my gut instinct is that they get the enjoyment of, hey, I found this on my own. It's kind of reward. Mm-hmm. How fast and how far do you see that trend spreading to other forms?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I mean, there's certainly some people still very much say, hey, you can't ever be you can't be a company at scale, a true company at scale, only relying on organic. And then at some point, we're going to have to shift that percentage from 85% organic to 30% or 25% or something, right? Because no one has yet done it. Actually, the only company that's close, so we're going to assume we'll have proof, is Atlassian. Do you guys like Atlassian? They have a whole bunch of awesome like Jira and great product family, right? And I think they're currently valued privately at like $8 billion. They've also never had a salesperson. It's totally self-service and it's B2B. So they're private though, so there are no public company comps of people who have grown their business in this organic way without a sales team. So there's rumor that they may be going out this year, and that'll be helpful to me. SurveyMonkey is another company that is very large that doesn't have a sales team, although they've now experimented more with enterprise. So they came a long way on self-service only. They have an enterprise tier now that I think is driving a lot of their future growth. So I'm open to the universe, and at some point, if we have to change our strategies some to achieve our bigger mission, that's okay too. But for right now, it's so nice, guys, to get this kind of growth and not have that burn rate. My capital needs are way lower than another business, right? I mean, I've only taken $19 million cash, which is very, very little, and my burn rate is only $200,000 a month right now. And I could be profitable within 9 months if I wanted. I'm purposefully not profitable, right? This is me saying I don't need to be profitable. I can manage my burn rate. I've got growth on the horizon. I want to spend, but I could be profitable if I needed to be. So we'll see what the future holds. It's currently unproven, which is part of the fun. At the same time, there's this whole new crop of businesses behind us that are currently smaller in scale than we are, but who are also using this model, and that's been great to have some more colleagues, because I've got a job to educate Wall Street. I've got a job to educate venture capitalists, to educate private equity, which, again, I have this other presentation I can forward you about this business model stuff, because my metrics don't look like their metrics, right? People, if you have an enterprise SaaS business, like HubSpot, their contracts are like 2-year contracts, 3-year contracts, and once you're locked in, you're locked in. Their churn rate, people leaving, it's like 2% a year or something. It's very typical. I'm losing like 10% a month some months, right? It doesn't, but my economics are entirely different, and all the people I'm losing are in the first month of their service, first 1 or 2 or 3 months, and then I have a nice solid long tail of people who stay. But it's a very different model, which means I've got a lot of work to do, because not only do I have to educate on what is SEO and what is marketing and the future of marketing, which is a whole new category creation, I also have to educate on a business model. So it's a fun challenge. I enjoy it.
Yeah, I have 3. One. Has anyone ever mentioned that Enzo might be your doppelganger?
No, but she is my hair muse. So if you followed my Pinterest board, that would make sense. Yeah, thank you. I will let my hairdresser know, because I showed her.
And 2, so do you think there's a Google killer out there anyway? Because I know
such a really good question. So killer, no. Giving them a run for their money on ad networks, yeah. I mean, they finally have stated publicly that Amazon is their biggest threat on the retail side, right? Which I think we've all known for a long time. I give Amazon like probably 75% of my paycheck, right? And so I know from my personal habits that Amazon is one of their biggest threats because that's where I search. And then the other thing is I think Facebook is incredibly, for a young company, they're incredibly forward-thinking and strategic, right? The ad network they can have by being so forward-thinking about adopting these new technologies and what they're going to know about you when they can, their network in Facebook is already powerful, and now they're adding all of these other global networks and future potential networks. So that's going to give them an incredible run for their money. Yeah.
Last one?
Yeah.
So 2015, there's a lot of movement in terms of wearable tech and spoken search inquiries, things like that.
Yeah.
Is that going to change the way that SEO operates?
So yes and no. And the ways that it will be the kinds of data that is presented. So for example, if you have a watch and you're able to search into it, right, and you want to get a tax advisor nearby, right? It's only probably going to be able to show you one thing at a time. So instead of the traditional Google box where it's got I got 10 pages, 10 SERPs, I got a bunch of ads up here, and then people will click on usually the first 1 to 3 slots, and then everything else is trash. You might as well be invisible, and no one looks beyond page 1. That's already competitive. And then on wearables, you have the screen time is so small that the competition is higher for those top slots. So yes, and you have to think more carefully about how your data is structured. What do you even want to appear there? Hopefully it's probably your phone number or something if someone's on a mobile device, something relevant. But so it changes the way your data shows up, and it makes those top slots more competitive. Now, on an underlying basis of foundationally what changes in SEO, it is still a ton about your brand, your credibility, who is linking to you, are you authoritative, and all the other signals that Google is currently using, doing topical analysis, expertise of influencers and who's tweeting whom, and all this stuff Google uses is all these signals. I don't think that's going to change. There'll be different inputs actually in terms of location awareness, right? So there'll be another signal on wearables, but a lot of those foundational stuff is the same. You want to build your strong, trustworthy brand no matter what the screen type is. Good question.
Did you guys get any pushback from Google when you were doing the linking and kind of reverse engineering?
No, inshallah. They're not. I admire. They're not a litigious company, and we are incredibly aligned with them. So I'm proud that at Moz we have never advocated the cheap trick ways of trying to sort of be manipulative in the search engines, right? So we are not get this spammy leak index together and here's an exploit of the current algorithm that we know about and you guys should all do it. We are very much hey, to do this right, it's hard, it may take you years. This is how you do it, you do it the right way, and it's about customer experience and all these other high quality content, which is not easy. So I think Google has always seen us as allies in the sense that we have the same mission of make this a great experience for users. Now, Google is a many-headed hydra, and so there is a particular group at Google, not the WebSpan team, who we've had good relationships with, but the AdWords side, that drives all the revenue for Google, right? It's the paid advertising. And they didn't like some of the keyword suggestion stuff we were doing, and so we had to change some of the ways we surfaced that data because they felt like people could go to ours to get their data, and that's data they sell, and they don't want you to be able to game. And so we had a little bit of a okay, we can use a different data source for that, and we're fine. But on the whole, I think it's been a very mutually beneficial relationship. I like to flatter myself that they're oh yeah, thank God Moz is there. Okay.
Has Moz ever faced any sort of pushback or criticism for having a female CEO, and how did you respond to that?
I mean, not that I know of, but I doubt they would say that to me.
Yeah.
So I'd be you want to go? You want to take us outside? No, actually, in all honesty, that it's a hot topic, and I don't want to speak for all women and all women's experience. I can't, and I know that bias exists. And I know that bad things happen to women in tech and in leadership. I have felt incredible support, actually. I feel like I get outsized benefit from being a woman. That is my unique experience. Also keep in mind, I had 3 brothers. I don't even know if I would notice if someone was giving me a hard time. I really don't think I would even notice. But so far it's just been, people have been rooting for me. I get a lot of men of all ages saying, I'm so glad you're here. my mom was a leader, and I want to support her, or I have a daughter, and I want her to be able to do whatever the fuck she wants to do within her capability, And so mostly, I think people are relieved. Oh my God, when I go to the finance industry, because tech is bad, and like senior finance is even worse, right? And when I go to those events, they are relieved. They're like, thank God there's a woman in the room. We are not those assholes. And they are so welcoming, and just like, thank God you're here. How can we support you? How can we help you? So I feel lucky, and I don't want to speak for all women like there isn't a problem, because I know there is. But so far, if anything, for me, it's been a bonus. People remember you. I never have to wait in line at the bathroom. There's many benefits. I should write a whole post of like top 10 reasons why you should be a woman in tech. Yes.
How do you feel, let me try to phrase this. How should we educate the next generation of digital marketers, like at the university level? Should we be teaching SEO in the classroom, analytics, and all that jazz?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't know what your program is, so I hope I don't offend anyone, but I mean, you've got to, so you have to know, you have to be great at math, you have to be great at Excel, you have to be great at data analysis. Like, it's no longer optional. You have to do it. You have to understand sensitivity analysis. I mean, it's everything now is you can measure things better than ever before, and you will not be effective in your role. You will tap out at a junior level unless you master those skills, because you will not be able to make your business case for any of the exciting initiatives you have unless you can prevent that kind of analysis and the data to back it up. There is no longer like, well, that sounds good, let's try it. It is like, well, show me the data. What would it have to be? Have you run an A/B test? How to run an A/B. You understand sample size. Like all this stuff. And then I think also you have to understand the basics of the web. Why isn't Flash a good idea? Like you have to understand how it works and how crawlers work, so that you can understand and diagnose what's happening on your site and what makes it accessible to search engines and other technologies and what doesn't. So it's that T-shape, right? Because there isn't. I can't think of anything like you don't have to worry about anymore. It's just more. There's just more for you to do, and I think the days of the sort of Mad Men sort of feeling like it's about just like paint the biggest picture and it's the most style. Like, yeah, you have to get detail and brand. You absolutely have to get that, but it's not enough. You also have to have hard numbers and technical skills, and those people are in crazy demand. Crazy demand.
You mentioned being in a place in your life where you really like data and you would analyze decisions to the nth degree.
Yeah.
And in your presentation, it sounds like you've moved to a place where you've learned through doing a lot more. Was that a big leap for you? Because in a fast-moving industry, there is a lot of trial and error. Is that hard for you still?
Yeah. So that transition happened when you have to be more efficient with your time, right? As the team got bigger, and you are now responsible for more, you're sort of more of a bottleneck of activities because there are more people working with you. And so suddenly, if it takes every decision takes longer to make because you haven't done all the Google searches yourself and you haven't called your friend who's an expert and you haven't made your weighted pros and cons list, you have to slow down all those people. And so so at a small scale, it didn't hurt as much. And it was also an interesting way for us as a team to educate each other on how we think. But as the organization got larger and I became responsible for more strategies, it became more and more untenable. And what gave me the biggest breakthrough actually was someone who, oh my gosh, I don't remember, it might have been Michelle, or it might have been someone in my peer group, I don't know, but someone basically was like, HBR or something, like some Harvard Business Review article, or somebody did a study that was like, turns out you only have to get 70% right decisions, and it's more important to make them quickly than to be like right all the time. And once I realized that I only had to get like a 70% accuracy, like that I hit the right choice, it was very freeing, because the trade-off, right, that speed is more important than perfection. It's like, oh, thank God. Thank God, because some of the stuff was unknowable anyway. So that was freeing, and that was part of the whole, like, as we scaled, things I had to learn and let go of. And I would say that we're still, so it's always been about doing. What I've let go of is the anxiety of worrying, do I have the right background? Do I have the expertise? Did I get all the right data? So we are data informed. We are not entirely data driven, right? We're data informed, and I expect my team to be that way, and I expect my executives to be that way. But we are not only data driven. Yeah, I'm not even sure if I answered your question. Hope so. Yeah.
So you're talking about managing time and being more efficient. How do you manage home life and work life?
I mean, it's it's the most unoriginal answer in the whole entire world. First, always marry well. Like, do not screw that decision up. That is a really good, that's an important decision. I have a wonderful husband and we're true partners, and he helps and I help and we are there for each other, and everybody is an equal player chipping in, and he's changed more dirty diapers than I have. God bless him, right? So that's one thing. And then the other thing is, this was part of it. So when I first became a mom, it was sad because if I was at home where I should be with my newborn child, I would feel guilty about not being at work. And then I would go to work and I would feel guilty about not being home with my newborn. And it was like I was in this catch-22 of my own creation. And even for that first year, I would hold myself to I'd compare, like, oh, so-and-so, she's in baby swim class. She and her newborn are out doing swimming together every Saturday. I stay in my jammies till like 1 on Saturday afternoons because I am tired and I just want to like crawl on the floor with my kiddo, and like that's an accomplishment. You know, we get to the grocery store, it's an accomplishment. And so I had a lot of I would say guilt and judgment, and then I'm not sure what. Again, I can't remember who helped me see this, but I realized that my dad worked a lot. He owned his own dental practice, and so he would be a dentist during the day, and then in the evening after dinner he would go upstairs and work on the administration part of his practice. And he didn't take me to baby swim classes. And I love him to pieces, and he's very close. And it just like suddenly for me it was like this, like, oh, I don't have to like be someone else's version of motherhood to have a close relationship with my son, right? And once I realized that it was that love and that like knowing each other is about like how we interact and not just like quantity of hours, it's incredibly freeing for me. So I just let go a lot of that stuff, and I haven't baked a cake for his birthday. I buy that shit, like Amazon, right? Like there's stuff I don't do. I haven't thrown him a fancy party with a clown and a pony. You know, there's stuff I don't do, and like I guess we're not going to be that family, but we love each other. You know, we love each other and we have a great time, and he cracks me up, and so far so good. So I try to like let go of stuff that isn't that important to me. We do have family dinner. We decided was important. Okay, my husband decided, and I agreed. Okay, I see that this is important to you. I will prioritize this thing. So I am very disciplined about family dinner time. But that's, you know, we had a conscious choice about it as parents. Where are we going to spend the time to be stressed out about what's important to us, and where are we not? And we chose that one. We're stressed out about family dinner time. Yeah.
Okay, that's a wrap.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
On behalf of the School of Business, Government, and Economics, I want to thank Sarah. I don't know if the two classes that are here need to split right away, but I'm assuming Sarah can stick
I can
for a
stick
few
around.
minutes
Yeah,
if you
totally.
want to come up and introduce yourselves to her. So
Thank you, guys.
so much.
Go be entrepreneurs. Start your business. I'll work with you for someday.